Let me see. Yep, okay. Looks like it's going through just fine. So, let's see who shows up, comes up to this, and we can talk about the odd nature of, like, the multitude of fights that were set up this week. Like, I figured we would get one fight. I didn't think we were going to get three. I do really like the whole Labyrinth shift event. I wonder if that's going to happen again, and maybe happen a couple times, as well as further confirmed. One thing that I was extremely happy to see, further confirmed, that people can get back in even when Celine counts them out. It doesn't look like they're out and then they can't come back. Natsu and Lucy are back and counting, so I'm guessing if Haku gets back up, then I would assume that he would be recounted with Diabolos. Same thing with Scolion and Madwell. What's up, Telahim? You're ugly. How are you? Bud, how are you? What are you guys doing today? We didn't get much, unfortunately, for the Kieran hype, but we did get a lot of hype this chapter. We got Gajeel now about to be in a fight. We got Erza pissed off. Masaki getting ready to do something. Also, I figured that when Masaki was referred to by Kiria as her sister, I thought it was more of like a respect thing. But I guess they're actually sisters, which I thought was pretty interesting. And it makes me wonder what their story is then. And I really want to get to a point where we can find out the backstories of a lot of those Diabolos members. Even if we don't get some, like as much detail as we got with Wraith, I would really like to get something that would tell us about, like when did Georg find them? You know, what was the whole process? Like, what made them want to join the guild? Maybe what were they like beforehand? Like, there's definitely stuff that I am interested in. Like, maybe Georg had similar to, like, a Spriggan 12 thing where they were sought out, but instead of, like, hey, join me, it's like, hey, join me and I'll make you a Dragon Slayer kind of thing. It was like this kind of trade-off. Help me over here, join my guild, and I'll help you become even more powerful and, like, lead you to a way of having, you know, one of the most powerful types of magic in the world. So, I don't know. There's a lot of really intriguing stuff that we could get out of the backstories and, like, flashbacks of the Diabolos members. We have gotten Wraith, but that's mostly it. I'm hoping we get something from them soon, but we'll see. It's just gonna be one of those things that it could be something we get, like, an in-depth kind of story on. Also, I think Georg, like, it's gonna be weird if we get some also, like, really cool, like, story stuff, but it's like, we didn't get anything from Georg because he was hyped for, like, a year and a half, 2 years, and then his ass died. Actually, it's longer than that. It was like 2+ years, 2 or 3 years, right? Because he showed up in, like, what, chapter 20? It's 22 or 23. So, you know, dying 70 chapters almost later. Short-haired Erza. I don't like the short-haired Erza. I know some people like that. I think it's like the same thing with, like, the short-haired Wendy or long-haired Natsu. I know a lot of people like the long-haired Natsu design after the whole second time skip into Alvarez, but I'm way more of a fan of his normal hairstyle. I prefer that. But I do think that I do think that it's something that I think people are gonna not have nearly as much of a, like, insight on with because it's such a, like, it's something you obviously have to remember about Erza's backstory to get, like, why this is significant to her. She's not just getting her haircut. Obviously, this has to do with, like, a lot about her character, as well as Jellal. And again, I'm hoping so bad that Jellal is going to become relevant in 100 Years Quest at some point. And I think this is something that's further giving us evidence of that. Because I think it would be such a weird coincidence for Mishima to have had that whole moment where Jellal, like, right after the arc where he decides to move past, like, his sins and live for Erza, they had that embracing moment beneath the moon, and then right after those events we went into the stuff with Celine. And then right now we're seeing something that's going on in the story that obviously is something that's going on with Erza right now. It's directly in events with, like, what's going on with Erza and what's going on in the story, but it's still it's still something that has potential for Jellal's character, and for him to kind of, like, show up in this story, and for him to
have some form of activity in 100 Years Quest. And I still really hope I get the whole idea of Jellal becoming a fifth generation Dragon Slayer. I still think it's a really interesting concept, and I think it would really work with Erza's story as well, knowing Irene and what Irene sacrificed to keep Erza safe. Something for Jellal to do as well, I think, would be really, like, a really nice parallel. But obviously, that's still something we're gonna have to wait and see. I could just be, you know, going off of like a wild idea, but either way, I do really like the idea of having something like this in context of the story and how it can make sense, as well as like where you would kind of like have to build that up into the story. Like it would have to. I know that's in my throat. It would have to be something kind of like how maybe like Celine gets like a finger cut off by Suzaku or something, and Jellal eats it, or you know, something like that. Or maybe we see some more of Celine's children, and one of them is defeated and then eaten, or you know, or something. Maybe like a desperation point, and Jellal's like, you know, I gotta eat this dragon meat to protect Erza or something. You know, there's a multitude of ways that it could go. I definitely want there to be something with it, but it's just one of those in the future moments that I'm gonna have to wait forever, because it's weird to think like we just gotten into this bit with the Doggermag Labyrinth, but it's been obviously like 2 months real time. Like it's been a bit. It's not like it's you know, like it happened like 2 weeks ago. It's been going on for at least a decent chunk, and we did already get one fight, and I did enjoy the fight. The question is now of where things are going to go with the other characters, the other fights, and what each of them are kind of going to do with, you know, the characters involved. The Kirin and Laxus stuff is really interesting. The fact that Mishima, like, it's very clear that Laxus was going to lose, but it was ended in a way where it was interrupted. Like, they didn't see it as a real ending, even though the outcome would have been very certain in Kirin's favor. So, I definitely am wondering what Laxus is going to do in, like, what is Laxus going to do to try and, like, figure out how to get through this? Like, what is his plan going to be to beat Kirin? The only thing I can really see as direct, like, very easy but understandable ways to advance Laxus and Gajeel in their abilities and stuff for the arc and, like, their capabilities is with a true Dragon Force. Like, Gajeel only had a temporary power-up in Alvarez, and Laxus had the lesser Lacrima-based Dragon Force. So, once we get something with either of them, like, actually fully achieving it, something like, you know, Natsu's version that he achieved in Tartaros and then later was able to use regularly, or Wendy as well. Something both of them should be able to do. And I would really like to see what the version of Laxus's Dragon Force would be as a Lightning Dragon Slayer in an actual, like, further evolved state, like, actually having, like, more dragon-like properties than just scales. There's a lot that, there's a lot that he could do. I think it would probably just be, like, these, like, sick yellow patches, or maybe do the markings where it looks like lightning, like it's just energy or something. Like, Mishima could do a lot of hype with that, like, because otherwise, I don't know what the point would be at this point of giving them fully new, like new forms, like something that would be completely new in either, either in, like, full scale, like, existence, or something kind of like, oh, well, this is something new in the lore. I don't know. I feel like it would have to be Dragon. It would just be Dragon Force, because like we don't need another hybrid form. We don't need another King mode. As much as I would like Gajeel to get a King mode, I don't think that he really needs it. And you know, we know that Natsu's is in name of Igneal, so it wouldn't really make sense for Gajeel for him to have it, unless we found out something else about Metallicana that we don't already know. So, whatever point we actually get information on on like their power ups or next kind of points in the story and what we're gonna get. I don't really know what what Mishima could otherwise do. I think Dragon Force is the best answer because it'd be a logical way to give them a very large boost, as well as it shows development in their ability and technique and dragon slaying magic, as well as it would be got a very strong growth points for both of them. You know, what if Hakuseko and Madmal are still in a fight? Well, as far as, you know, right now they're out, but I think they can definitely get back up. I think with Lucy and Natsu showing that they were recounted in the competition, that we can easily look at the same way for Skullion, Madmal, and Haku. I don't think it would really make sense to only have one side be able to get people up. And granted, Natsu and Lucy weren't like defeated, but they were in a point where Celine was counting them out of the competition. So I think that should still count. It would still be something that would, like anything that would say like, oh, well, I'm gonna assume that you're not in this game anymore, and not just, oh yeah, you're currently in a predicament. You're currently like, you know, transformed to something else, and you know, until you get out, I'm not gonna get you. Like, no, she just straight counted them out. So I think logically you would apply the same thing to anybody that is counted out from being, you know, rendered unable to fight. Because all they would really have to do is be able to get back to their feet and keep fighting, and then bam, you're good. Yeah, well, apparently it is further confirmed that Kiria and Misaki are sisters, which is neat. I thought that was a little neat touch to their characters. Was he hoping to see Kirin versus Lax continue? I did as well. I really want to know, you know, the obvious big question of his Slayer attribute. That's something that we're clearly not going to get for a while. Misaki, I'm guessing we're going to get hers if we're going to get like a full fight with her and Erza. I mean, Gajeel and Gray are there as well, but I'm guessing this is going to be way more focused on Erza than them. Just because of the status right now with Erza as well, with her hair being, you know, a big personal thing with her character. See. How strong do you think? Do you want Lucifaro? I don't know. I mean, like I assume Lucifaro should be stronger than any character we've seen so far. He doesn't have to have some like immediate absurd unyielding power, but I think he should at least be able to outperform anybody that we've seen. Like any known character, he should be above. And I don't think it would make sense for him to be anything other than at least that hyped, because of, you know, his obvious position as the king of devils. And he's got two equals, but I mean, they clearly aren't all hyped the same. Oh, let me see. I don't know how Fairy Tail work. What do you mean? I mean, I can explain if you have a question the best I can. Could the kid with doll magic turn Acnologia into a doll? No, I don't think so. I don't think it would affect Acnologia, just based off of the fact that his slaying magic, as long as, like, unless you hinder him, you're not going to be able to work any magic on him. He's just going to eat it. Prediction of Chainsaw Man Part 2? You can't really predict Chainsaw Man, so I can't even give you, like, a good idea of what's going to happen. Some thought Erza was going to face Suzaku. The only reason people thought that was because swords. I figured it was going to be Natsu based off of their first encounter. I thought it made way more sense for it to be Natsu after that, because they had the first initial meeting, and Suzaku feels almost like the Natsu of his guild. He has a very strong kind of like Natsu vibe to him that I think will probably play well into them. I would hope at some point kind of coming to terms and becoming allies to stop Celine. I hope at least, but it's something that we're gonna have to like just wait for things to really kind of unfold in the story, and like just general events for this whole big battle that's going on. With Celine, I think I'm hoping that Celine is able to do something for her side. I'm still really hoping that, like I said, that she brings some of her children in to be part of the arc. Because, like, she said that Konosuke was one of her sons, so she has to have more than one. And though there's a strong possibility that others of her brood were killed at some point, I doubt they're all dead. Or she would have probably commented on that if she was, you know, this mother dragon that still had that strong motherly connection and care for her offspring. But if it was her last one that died and she just found out, I feel like there'd be a much stronger reaction than what we got. I think it'd be a much more grievous kind of thing rather than like a blood revenge. Let me see. Do you think that Death Note would work in Acnologia? Oh no, because we don't actually know his name. We don't know his real name. Acnologia originally was the elder dragon of his village. We don't know his actual name. I'd feel if Celine gets defeated or he takes over her body. I don't want that. I really don't want that. And become the Guildmaster Diabolos. That sounds like something only a like Irene stan would write. Like, that'd be terrible. Like, that'd be such a disgrace for Celine's character. Plus, there's no way she's losing this early. I don't think that's happening. It'd be really weird to give her a body, too, that, like, belongs to another, like, big character. What games are you playing right now? I was playing, like, I started looking at playing some MMOs. I was playing a little bit of Final Fantasy. I was playing a little bit of World of Warcraft, and then I was looking at that game Lost Ark that I've heard was pretty good. I've heard some good things. Natsu's the guild's champion. He would be what Guild Arts is. He would be their ace. You don't have to be the Guildmaster to be the strongest. The Guildmaster is just kind of the boss. Natsu is like Guild Arts. He's not, like, being the Guildmaster would not fit his personality. I don't think it'd be something that would really blend well with how he behaves. The only people that I think would be really good candidates for Guildmaster would be either Laxus or Lucy. Lucy has a lot of good reasons, but I think logically Laxus is the person that would be the Guildmaster, because on top of being Makarov's grandson, on top of being on top of like his whole journey and like everything that he's experienced and he's learned and whatnot, I think it just makes more sense for his character in line of what we know about, you know, obviously his character and his pathway and everything. Whereas like Lucy, it would be more of like connections to like how similar as she is to Mavis, you know, her intelligence and whatnot. But I think Laxus is the most logical choice to place a next Guildmaster. As much as I think Lucy would do a good job, I think Laxus is the only good choice. Is the only correct choice if you were to really look at it. Bleach captains versus Black Bulls captains. Oh, the Bleach captains clap. That's not a competition. Like, what, you gonna put Rill up against Mayuri or something? Yeah, see how quickly that ends. I thought Irene was dead. It's complicated. Irene's a trickster. You played any Dark Souls games? Yeah, I've played like all the Souls games. The only one I haven't beaten is no, I haven't beaten Dark Souls 2. I don't know what it is. Whenever I play Dark Souls 2, I get like halfway, and then for some reason, I think it's like the whole thing that makes your health permanently go down when you die, and then I just would die, and then it would just be so hard to get through some parts, and I just haven't played since. I've been meaning to finish it one day. I've always meant to. I really like the Souls games. I think Lucy or Sicario fight is going to go. I think Lucy's going to do fine. I think Lucy's going to do completely fine. Like, after her fight with Mimi, like, I do think that Kiria is a more aggressive fighter than Mimi. I don't think that Lucy is going to have that much different of an encounter. And Lucy already knows about her hypnosis and already has a way to counter her hypnosis by just using her Capricorn dress and having the sunglasses, because we know that glasses and whatnot, and like anything of that variety, hinders ocular abilities in Fairy Tail. And Lucy has shown this before. She did it in Dragon Cry with Zash and his mind control magic, because it went through the eyes. But it got interfered with the Caprico sunglasses and didn't work entirely. So I think Lucy's going to do fine. I think Lucy's going to do fine, because one thing about Kiria is that she's not a smart fighter. Kiria is so early series Natsu in terms of how reckless she is. Well, like, the obvious good example is her trying to charge Celine by herself in her dragon form, where, like, if Celine wanted to, she could have killed her right then and there. It would have been zero problem whatsoever. So, for Celine right now, I think that she, like she's gonna do fine in terms of, like, her whole setup. But with everybody else, I think the Gajeel Gray and Erza fight is actually, I think they're still at a disadvantage, because Kiria or Misaki should still be stronger than them by scaling. But I think 3 of them together is a pretty good fight. I think this one could really work. And one thing that is a odd back pocket strategy that's really weird but logical if you think about it, have Gajeel eat a bunch of Erza's magic swords and get a boost enough to unlock Dragon Force. Like, that's something that it'd be really weird in a way to work, but I mean, like, if you're in a team with a Dragon Slayer, you know how Dragon Slayers work, and you have one specifically that eats metals, you're going to be, and like, you are Erza, and you are a smart fighter like Erza, you are going to think of that. I don't know if Mishima's going to do that, but I feel like if it gets down to it, then they might. And I think it's something that Erza would think of, so I'm hoping that we would do that. Oh, Kenmano, thank you for the $100 super chat, my guy. What I gotta do to strong arm you, blackmail you into a lore stream, also brandish Arcana. I do I do lore bits, like when I do videos. I will inform people that I will tell them some Rax lore. That's what keeps my lore mysterious, is the lore bits are never, like, you're never gonna know beforehand when the lore bits are coming until you decide to drop the information. But the Kana and Brandish, I can do Kana and Brandish. I actually really like Kana. Kana's like Elfman, where I've always really liked her character, but we haven't got a lot from her in a long time. We haven't gotten really anything from Kana in, like, we got the whole part in Terseal, which I was actually really happy about. I remember being pretty stoked when that chapter came out and we saw Kana actually being active in events, because she's hyped up. She's hyped up of having, like, really powerful latent magic, and we never really see anything of it in like real time in the story after using fairy glitter in the Grand Magic games, because she didn't really have much of a display in Tartaros. She really just had some 6 saves and then didn't really do much in Alvarez. But I've been wanting to do a video on her because I do want Kana to be relevant, but the problem is it's like Mishima would have to do, like, if Mishima brought her to Elentier and she got boosted by the critical magic and now she's OP, I would have been fine with that, because it would have been a really fair way to boost up a character that I think really needed it. Because she's not like Elfman, where Elfman does have some feats that actually put him pretty fair with, like, Spriggan level characters. He's just slow, whereas Kana doesn't have anything. But Brandish, yeah, I can do some stuff on her. Brandish, everybody likes Brandish. I don't know anybody who doesn't like Brandish, so I think that would be fine. Would Fairy Tail be okay with someone who lets bad things happen to people, who doesn't go out of their way to help those people I'm talking about in general? They'd probably think you're a jerk if you did that. I think they would expect most people to have, like, a general level of politeness. I think the severity of it would depend. But at the same time, I don't think they would hate you if you didn't. For instance, as we know from on Caracol Island, when Mess didn't do anything, but, like, the other Fairy Tail members went to go and help that kid that was going to get attacked by those guards, they didn't like suddenly hate meth. So I think it would just really depend on the circumstances and like what's going on between all of them. Also, yeah, but once again, thank you for the super chat, Kimano. You're always appreciated, my guy. The Spriggan versus the Espada. I'd definitely give it the Spriggan. The Espada are cool, and they have some pretty powerful characters. You have people like Ulquiorra and whatnot. You have people like that are hacks, like Baragon. But the problem is when you really look at it, all of the Spriggan are hacks, and all of them have really busted abilities. And when you look at some of the upper people on what the upper people are capable of, and then you look at the Espada, though the Espada do have some impressive abilities. One thing about the Espada that is very unfortunate is a lot of the big people don't have a lot shown. Hollowbell and Stark didn't have a lot of abilities showcased. Baragon had Respira, and that was kind of his saving grace. But like other than that, it's like Grimjow, Slysel Opero, Ulquiorra. Like they're the ones that mostly are that threatening within that group. So I think that the Espada would just get straight overwhelmed, as well as their like the Spriggan sheer placement of power and coming off of Ethereon for a wall, like Wall's speed of doing Ethereon is beyond anything that the Espada can do. They can get all their Grand Race arrows they want. Like if they have an Ethereon shot their way, they're gone. Bloodborne. I have played Bloodborne. I really like Bloodborne. I've been wanting to replay it because I haven't played it since I beat it, and I have like all the items you do in New Game Plus, and I want to do it with like the items in the build I had. Cause I like to go heavy. I have the what is it called? The stake driver as my melee weapon, and then I have either the Gatling gun or the cannon. So either it can kind of just machine gun fire dudes down, or it can just heavy hit them with a cannon. You gotta go big and go all in. Let's think Gildarts is the strongest guild member at the beginning of Hunter's Quest, because she we didn't witness Natsu versus Zeref. Well, the thing is, Natsu is stronger than Gildarts with Dragon Force. Gildarts, it's like looking at Suzaku. Gildarts doesn't have a power-up form. All of his power is in his base form. He is always in that state. It just depends on how much magic he wants to put out. Whereas Natsu's depends on what form he's in, because obviously one of the things about how he fights is dependent on different forms and abilities that amplify his magic and amplify his stats and abilities. It just is a different kind of like way you look at it. Like if you put Natsu versus Gildarts in a fight based off of current feats, you just go off of what they are at now. If Natsu somehow didn't beat Gildarts within the time frame of Dragon Force's whole activation sequence, or not activation sequence, activation point. Like if Natsu's form ran out, Gildarts would easily win, because at that point Natsu would be out of magic, and that would be pretty much GG. It just depends on that time period of when Natsu's in Dragon Force in a fight between them. So I can see Lucy making that comment without it really being too kind of strange. Because, like, I would imagine for Natsu, the idea of only being able to beat Gildarts in that short spread of time for him probably isn't nearly as satisfying as, like, in a longer ranged fight. But it also might just come down to, like, his respect for Gildarts. I think Erza can take her solo. I don't think so. I really don't. We already saw Erza get clapped by Suzaku, so Misaki should be able to do that just fine. Suzaku blitzed both Erza and Natsu last time Misaki's or Suzaku's like, yeah, so like Erza shouldn't be able to beat her by herself. I don't think that at all. Like Erza and all of them should be boosted a bit from being an Ellen tier with the critical magic, but I don't think it's obviously enough to fully cover that gap. I think Erza's just gonna be able to do, like, Erza's gonna be able to perform better than she did in her last fight. There's also the fact that Erza wasn't fresh. Suzaku wasn't trying a ton, but like Erza doesn't have to 1v1. Gray and Gajeel are both here. So I really am hoping that their 3-unit teamwork can fight back Misaki, at least until they have to shift the Labyrinth again. Unless Misaki wins. I'm fine if Misaki wins. It'd be cool if they lose and then the Labyrinth shifts and then the characters are moving out and we get more fights. I just want like tons of battles. I want this whole arc just to be tons of battles. Funny parts battles, puzzles, and like cool landscapes. I really hope we get to see some really cool big open areas too. I have a video that I need to edit that to put out on like the importance of the Dr. Mag Labyrinth from a power level standpoint and just kind of understanding the characters. I just have to edit it. I have it. Sting and Rogue versus Myring. I mean, Sting and Rogue have abilities I think would be a little bit too tricky for Meyer. Not in the same way that like Meyer's used to dealing with, because his are like abilities in Bleach are usually more specific, and like say for instance, Pernida was like the whole nerve ability. It's not like touched and then you lose. It's like, okay, the nerves spread at a certain speed, cut the limb off and prevent Pernida's nerves from controlling him. Whereas, like, if Sting got his stigmata off on Mayuri's body, Mayuri just can't move. There's also the fact that they should both, like, as a unit, or not as a unit, as a duo, they should scale higher and are more capable with absurdly higher feats. Mayuri's impressive, but he's, like, this is a fight I think that doesn't favor how he is really good at fighting. Because, like, how do you take a sample out of light or shadow? How do you, like, how is he going to hit people like Rogue or Sting when they merge into shadows? What happens if Sting goes into White Shadow Dragon, Dragon Force? Can Irene and August take on base Aizen? I think they would crush Aizen easily. Sekiro. The only part of Sekiro I didn't beat was the last boss. Well, no, the last boss and like the secret extra bosses. I was playing it, but right around when I stopped playing a little bit, I took way longer of a break than I should have, and I just never got back to it because I lost all of the muscle memory of the game. So whenever I play Sekiro next, I'm going to replay it from scratch, because obviously Sekiro is a bit more technique based than like the Soul games. It's way like the whole pairing system and stuff is way more quick motion, you know, way more samurai. I guess Vagabond or whatever. You don't think Natsu can beat Suzaku right now? It depends on what Natsu does, because I think Natsu with Dragon Force should be able to overtake Suzaku, but I don't know if Natsu is going to use that against Suzaku. But I feel like if Natsu gets pushed to that, he will. So I don't know what reason he would have to not use it, is the thing. It's obviously like it's his trump card, but I mean, if he's in a fight where I think he's learned he can't fight just in his base form, an opponent that won't, you know, doesn't warm up fighting, goes right in, then he'll go into something more serious the next time I see him. Like, I can see Natsu going to Fire Dragon King mode at the start of next chapter. Like, some big hype for all the fights, considering it's chapter 102. I really can't wait to see, like, what we're gonna see for chapter 100, 100 Years Quest. It's gonna, like, it's a milestone chapter, and Mishima has always been one to throw something crazy in when milestone chapters happen. So I'm really hoping for, like, Natsu goes into Fire Dragon King mode, Erza, you know, uses like one of her armor. Maybe Erza just kind of puts on her Clear Heart armor and gets out her Belsarian sword. Gray goes into a higher level of demon form. Gajeel uses like Dragon Force. I think logically you can. Well, no, because it hasn't been that long since for Seal timeline wise. I mean, it's been like a decent amount, but nothing too crazy. If Gajeel unlocked it now, maybe Gajeel can have like another form that he uses in between it, something he can just use for now, and then unlock Dragon Force later in the arc. Or something that I still really want to happen is, say he learned giant magic from Makarov after the experience of being giant against Alderaan from Brandish. I think that would make a lot of sense, and it would give like, it would have Gajeel giving like a way of like homage to Makarov for saving him as well. Well, not really saving him, like he says, like help him guide him to a better tomorrow if he's willing to take it. So I would really hope for that to happen. I think that'd be really cool, but we'll see. Like, I think that actually would make a lot of sense, because it's not a new dragon ability thing. It's something he just learned on the side that doesn't have to do anything other than just enhance his regular attacks. So we'll see, like, exactly about how, like, that's gonna go and, like, what Gajeel's gonna do. But obviously, like, with Lucy and Kyria, I want a new Wendy Star dress. I actually really want to, like, I would love to do a video talking, like, either a video or a short stream talking about other Star Dress combinations, like the best Star Dress combinations of what Lucy can have, and like the most like broken, like even if it's not as broken, like imagine if she did Taurus and Caprico, so she got an extreme physical strength boost and she had like martial artist skills, so she could actually throw hands with highly enhanced physical strength. Like there's a lot Lucy can do if she just combines them in different ways. And obviously Lucy's, that's Lucy's thing. She has all of these like trick abilities that she can whip out and then use in all these different scenarios. He's on Q's, so he gets to it, it's over. Oh, no, like on Celine or on Irene, it's not gonna work because magic, and obviously you're gonna have, if it's cross first, you're gonna use cross first ruling energy equivalent. You're gonna treat magic and Ryatsu as a similar property. It's not gonna work on him, and then August would just learn it and then become immune to it. Like some of these guys just have broken abilities that counter broken abilities. 100 Years Quest quote is going crazy with the emojis in the chat. How are you though, 100 Years Quest quote? Bum to go, I don't know what that means. I think this man is Russian. I appreciate you, Russian man, if that is true. Got a feeling Suzaku will stop the fight and ask Natsu to help kill Celine. The problem right now with that happening is we need Suzaku to come to the realization that Fairy Tail isn't their enemy and that they are, like, it was just a misunderstanding. But like we have to figure out like what's gonna happen to lay that out on the table. What's gonna happen for them to kind of like group up and be like, okay, yeah, we probably came off to a wrong, a bad step and a bad footing, but we can hopefully team up and fight this giant crazy moon dragon god. But I need to get some fights first before they decide to kind of group up. I need some fights. I need to see Natsu have some fights. I need to see Natsu defeat Suzaku. I would really like the idea of Natsu and Suzaku fighting here, but it being like a stalemate, like inconclusive, and they fight later in the arc. And the reason I think that is I don't want Natsu to get his most interesting fight, at least that we have right now, out of the way already. Because I think with chapter 100, it has to be more monumental in terms of height rather than some twist of Suzaku wanting to, to ask for Natsu for help. But it'd be really weird for him to do that right now, considering the situation that they're in. And he knows that Celine is watching. So I don't really think that he would do that. Like, they should know Celine is in full view of what's going on. Celine is able to make portals and do all this crazy spatial stuff. So I don't think that he's going to do anything that would make it, to draw the ire of Celine. You're not seeing a guest or ire beating eyes in. Oh, yeah, they definitely know. It's ridiculous. You think Lucifero will leave the battlefield next couple chapters? I kind of hope so. The problem right now with Lucifero being there is, from the facts of the story, he should have no real problem with killing a human the moment he decides to. So it's gonna be weird to see what happens with him in the next couple chapters. Like, how is Tabata gonna either kill off a bunch of characters or design ways to keep them from being killed off? As long as stuff makes sense, I don't really mind, but I still want there to be, a level of, yeah, like this was gonna happen from this scenario, not something that he has to invent to kind of get them out of it. More of, oh yeah, like this scenario occurred, I have to now do this because logically this is what happened when these two forces collide. Yawa versus Salim, I don't know exactly what you're saying right now. I don't know if it's nice or if it's bad, but it's something. And for that, I'm unsure. I gotta finish uploading my Fortnite Apocalypse video after this one. Hold on 1 second. Okay. Let's see.
Yuhabak. I don't know who's Salim. I would assume Soul King Yuhabak should be able to win, but I mean, like, I don't think so at the same time, because like altering time and stuff is like, it doesn't make sense from stuff that we were shown if you give him like, oh, he goes to a timeline where he somehow beats somebody that is logically, you know, that someone that should be immune to his abilities, that like has absurd levels of power in of themselves. Because he would have done that. Like, if he could just, like, off somebody with his time-altering abilities, he would have. I think it was a power that has some form of limitations, but was so vague on them that it didn't seem like it. Because, obviously, it wouldn't make sense if you could just alter, go to a timeline where you've beaten everybody already, and not. That wouldn't just make sense at all. But with them, I don't really know, because, like, Celine couldn't kill Yuhabak, but I don't think Yuhabak could kill Celine. Celine doesn't have anything right now that's a threat to Yuhabak, but I mean, like, Yuhabak's, I don't think could really harm her with any of his abilities. God Serena versus Kieran. Kieran should be able to completely destroy him if he's doing this to Laxus. But God Serena would get completely demolished. Fair versus Living Tribunal. Living Tribunal should win. Like, he would just turn off Seraph's powers. He could just say no abilities for you. Sorry, get out of here. Go home, guy. Explain why Zeref didn't do that. Then do what? Zeref didn't. What do you mean? Zeref's power didn't work that way. What do you mean by what Zeref was gonna do? Zeref doesn't alter the future. Zeref is gonna reverse time. Not reverse time. He's gonna undo time. And he was about to. He only turned around because not to. Yeah, but this stream unfortunately is going to be a bit shorter. I was going to go for a little bit longer, but I got stuff I sadly have to do. Well, not sadly have to do, but that I have to do. So I wanted to do something because I didn't really there wasn't really anything to talk about in terms of big reveals or like crazy new info in this chapter. It was more of the obvious hype of setting up new matches, which is still fun to see and really exciting to see like stuff go down. But I think maybe if we get a little bit more context in the fan translations, or maybe in chapter 100, maybe that's how it was gonna go. I think that would make sense too. If chapter 99 was a setup chapter, just to have chapter 100 be like a big crazy hype one. Favorite type of alcohol? I don't really drink. I personally, for me, I like the only time I really enjoy drinking is like when I go somewhere that's like Dave and Buster's, where it's like you get all the crazy drinks and you play games, where they're made more to kind of like be in between fun stuff. So they don't taste really alcoholic. They're kind of just really weird and wild drinks, like lights and shit. They're just kind of crazy, glow in the dark shit. Like kind of like weirdly kind of goofy, gimmicky ones like that. I do like those. I think they're fun. Which captains do you think will have the most severe injuries and will be killing and fighting Super? I think Fuego might die. Fuego or Leona might die. Like one of them, I think, is a strong candidate to being offed. Which captains do you think will have the most severe injuries and will be in this fight against Lucifaro? Wait, I just read that. What am I doing? I read it, and then like it's because Guillotine in a comment. I knew it was gonna be the next comment, but he deleted it, so I just read the first one. See, Acnologia versus Yuhabak. I think Acnologia just eat him. Like the thing is, like after like Yuhabak, after that point, I think Acnologia just eat him. Like he's made of Ryatsu, he just consumes him. But anyway, I am gonna end the stream. I got stuff I gotta do. There are a couple of videos to look forward to soon. There is something that I have a Dogramag video I'm gonna put out probably tomorrow. I was pretty hyped that what I wanted to talk about in that video didn't happen in this chapter, so it's still potential to go out and it'll still be something to kind of like build up upon. Have I been keeping up with Mission Yozakura? I have been. Yeah, I'm still caught up. Similar how Luffy and Law form alliance to take down Kaido.
Yeah, but it's a little bit of a different circumstances considering Suzaku thinks Fairy Tail's the enemy of their guild, but obviously like he's just in a really weird spot. Like he would have to somehow squash beef with Fairy Tail and then someone get this conveyed across without Celine knowing. About things like Almighty can't be so absurd that like say you go to a timeline where your opponent just dies or your opponent's just automatically beaten, because he would have. He would have done that. He would have just gone to the point where all of the Soul Society's just been defeated, and I just chose that timeline. But on top of that, it can't be something like if you put, for instance, as mentioned, the Living Tribunal in Yuhabak, that he wouldn't be able to come to a timeline where he can somehow beat the Living Tribunal. It wouldn't, like, it doesn't logically make sense to go to a point where he would be able to affect something that's far beyond the realm of his capabilities. And with Acnologia's ability of consumption, I think Acnologia just eats anything Yuhabak does. Like after the events of the space between time, it's really hard to argue against Acnologia eating a lot of different powers and abilities, because eating that was so absurd that it just opened up so many more arguments for him eating some other absurd attack. You treat Reiatsu and magic the same though. It's cross first. If you go cross first, you energy. I'm struggling with my words. Energy equalization is the standard. Not only do people do it regularly, it's usually how crossovers do it in general. Because one, you run into multiple problems. If you didn't equalize them, say you had someone like Lucy could copy anybody in all of Bleach with Gemini, because the limitation on Gemini is you have the whole aspect of they have to be equal or less magic than the summoner. Or it's like, oh, you just say like, what, like, can anybody in Bleach like Reiatsu crush any Fairy Tail character because they don't have Reiatsu? And like, oh, they can't see Bleach characters, or like Hunter x Hunter characters would be able to logically Nen baptize one-shot non-Nen using characters. Like, the whole argument that like you try and do cross first but then ignore energy equalization is just really, it's really silly. Why didn't Acno eat Notch's final attack? Because he was crippled with motion sickness. Like, did you pay attention to the fight, my guy? I don't see the point in doing cross first without even doing energy equalization, because it doesn't make sense. There's so many problems that you run into that it just becomes nonsensical. Like I said, then it's like, well, do Bleach characters just Reiatsu crush anybody, and can characters see them? Can Lucy copy anybody with Gemini? Can Lucy just become Yamamoto? No. But anyway, I'm gonna call it. I'll plan up a longer stream, probably Saturday. I think Saturday might be a good day to do it. We'll see. But other than that, though, comment below, thumbs up the stream, thumbs up the video, check out other videos, and hopefully I can get some stuff out soon, because I have those Dragon Slayer videos I really want to get done and put out. I just really want to. I'm working on upping some of my video quality and whatnot, because I want.